Alright, Lost Kingdoms, round 2. This time it's personal. Of course I had to do that. Let's get into this sucker. So, last time, as you'll remember, because, for me this was like a couple hours ago, we had just opened up Gromtal Desert. Thank you for reminding us again. Isn't that nice of it to tell us like that? We got through Bulasoon, the scary destroyed city. We unlocked the burial grounds, where we will go when we want to follow the king of Alanjah again. We beat up some bees over at the Dalnok Valley. We tricked out our deck to include a lot more of the stuff that we've picked up. But let's just jump right into Gromtal Desert, shall we? Thank you for loading. It's always a little slower than the first one. Alright, now notice again we've got another one of these like big spread out levels, none of that interior stuff floating in a void like we had before. We have these oases dotted around a little bit, and these buttons which will, reveal their importance in time. As has sort of been the case throughout the game so far, there are obviously a lot of these kind of secret things hiding around in the levels. Pushing buttons opens up new areas, just like we saw in Blassoon. Also, hey look, there's a red fairy in a treasure chest. And he is telling us, well, he, she, I don't know. Red fairies, I assume, are gendered? The red fairy is telling us that somewhere there's a fabulous treasure, because of course there is in the deserts. And, like, why wouldn't there be? If you're going to put a desert into your game, why not include a fabulous treasure? Also, you'll remember Gerd warned us that there was a giant sandworm around here. Guess what? That's definitely what that is. Like the bees, did we have to fight the sandworm a set number of times? Like it's going to run away after we fight it, so we're going to hold off on that for the time being. But really, there isn't a whole lot to explore in the desert. But I do also want to emphasize, like, notice, much like Blassoon and a lot of the other levels, this is very obscured. Like, there's this sort of weird sandy fog covering the battlefield. Most of the levels we've run into at this point have this sort of lack of clarity or obscured in some way. Just again driving home that loneliness, that darkness and gloominess about the world. So here's our sandworm, and yeah, it's friggin' enormous, way bigger than anything we've had to face so far. Notice how I managed to dodge that one by putting the card at the right time. It's also really capable as far as like doing damage and stuff, so we're going to need to hit it with very much everything we've got. So we get it with the Venus Spider a little bit. Ooh, we stunned it. It doesn't like that at all. Thank you, Man Trap. But notice, no kill points. That's a bummer. The sandworm has disappeared. I guess we might have to run into it a little while later. But yeah, foggy, obscured, lonely, all of that is very present even here. Desert being one of the most famously isolated places that you can go on the planet. Along with caves and lots of other things that we'll be running into over the course of this game. And again, like, there aren't even NPCs in this one. Like, at least in Blassoon and even in the Dalnok Forest, there were, like, things there. The occasional characters, apparently, mocking orcs. Which, speaking of orcs, you were annoying. Thank you. That was a scythe beast, by the way. We will be picking up one of those pretty soon. Like one of our wizard men cards can transform into that. But yeah, the desert, there isn't even that. Like, there's just you and the sandworm and the fairies. That's the sum total of the population of the desert as we're visiting. So we are very well and truly alone here, just like poking around, getting our treasure chest, looking for said fabulous treasure, and driving the sandworm from place to place across the map. Also notice, like, the interior sets, we've only had the one so far out in the castle, but the interior sets typically have that weird quality of being like located in space, like the combat scenarios do. Oh, would you look at that? That breaks open. Find a switch inside. Isn't that convenient? We'll come up with it. Thanks, Red Lizard. Always helpful. Yeah, the interior sets are all in these like voidy places, which is kind of fun to see. You know, the like weird pattern in the background of these combat instances. But the overworld sites generally lack that sort of weird out of placeness, which I think comes off better. Like as much as I kind of get a kick out of the interior sets being in like the void with the weird pattern in the background, like we're all in some 70s fever dream. At the same time, like I can see why this ultimately works better for immersion, realism, whatever you want to call it. But I also find it interesting that this game can pull off immersion without realism. Like that's one of the things that I find so striking about it is that it is very like fairy tale. Like there's very much sort of framing for everything that we're doing here. There's a sort of dream logic to running around as Katya and like hitting the switches and playing cards, and that somehow being all we need to do to defeat monsters and progress. It's kind of intangible, I imagine, and me describing it probably isn't doing it any favors. This is one of those things you just kind of have to experience playing the game yourself, the kinesthetic component of the game. But notice how all the choices frequently like confirm those decisions. How, here we have another one of these cactus things that we undoubtedly have to break open, but we have to wait until the combat encounter starts. Just sort of not quite pulling us out of the experience, but still, putting it farther away, rendering it distant, as I've put it. But anyway, let's go. This time we have our first actual mummy monster. You'll see, just kind of walking around doing his own thing. They're not terribly threatening, the mummies, but they are valuable. Again, they seem to be like the default treasure for most of the game. Just miss like a champ. Nope, that'll do. Mummy versus mummy. We get our experience, hit the magic switch. Ooh, got the red fairy. We need that for things. Yeah, you'll notice that the red fairy also clued us in on to how the sandworm works, that when you fight it multiple times it gets mad and then you gotta watch out. That's how you get it to actually sit and, stick around for the fight. Hit it multiple times, fight it multiple times. So, I'm using Carbuncle right now, and I've used him a couple times at this point, but not describe how he works. There are several independent monsters in the game that do this sort of running around, surrounding, attacking enemies just by running into them. Carbuncle is the first one we unlock, and it is pretty useful. It doesn't have a whole lot of hit points. It dies pretty easily, as you've likely seen. But there are a number of enemies that do that sort of defensive approach. This protection. Also, we hit all 4 switches, so I wonder what's in this mysterious cave. Oh, but we zoom in. It's fine. This is again some of the lack of polish that a lot of people tend to criticize about this game. Come on, guys, you should be able to automatically zoom the camera in when you enter a cave like this. But again, it's not a deal breaker. It's really obvious what you have to do to sort of see past it. But again, I hesitate to say that it's a technical limitation. There are technical limitations in this game because, again, I got this giant deck full of cards, all of which represent individual attacks, and I have tremendous respect for the developers for being able to individually program each one as a separate entity. But at the same time, I think a couple of extra passes at the game just to clean up some of these decisions would also not go amiss. Hey, look, Crystal Rose, that's handy. And I'm mentioning in the essay, and I'll definitely mention it here as well, one of the things that, frustrates me about Lost Kingdoms and sort of the complete non-critical reception that it just totally missed, is that if this game were released now, admittedly, it would have another set of problems in its own right, but something like the little lack of polish stuff, you could really fix that up. You could really you could do the day one patch thing, or you could like let it hang out for a while and then fix it as you go. There have been a lot of games, especially in the last few years, like No Man's Sky or like Cyberpunk 2077, that kind of released very unfinished, very unpolished, and then sort of redeemed themselves as time went on. Like, people gave them a second chance, like, several months later, and they were like, actually, this is a really good game now. Like, No Man's Sky had its big, next upgrade that really changed things and really helped the game. Assassin's Creed Unity was totally broken on launch, but is actually a pretty solid game, now that it's 2021 and people have had time to, like, patch the bugs and stuff. Heck, even Skyrim, like, it's one of the most popular games made in the last 20 years. And it was very broken on release. Like, I remember the go fight a giant and it would, like, vault you up in the air if you, got even close to being hit. We're more tolerant of that. But back in 2002, when this came out on the GameCube, there was literally no way to patch a disc. Like, it had shipped. It was done. 2002, you don't get a second chance at fixing your game. If it released broken, it stayed broken. This is the legacy that it will always have. Which is really a bummer. Like, especially because, you get all these games that were really, really good in one way or another. That get these remasters nowadays. And yet, here is a game that would totally benefit from a remaster. Like, a remaster could totally fix 90% of the problems you're seeing here. But it doesn't get one because it, wasn't popular enough when it first released. There's a sort of warped, like, illogic to that you fix the games that don't need fixing and don't fix the games that really would have benefited from it. Like, I would kill for a Lost Kingdoms remaster. Like, can you imagine just, polishing up all the cards, polishing up all the animations, making it a little bit more vibrant, using a couple, some more effective graphics, some more contemporary technique. Like, this game would shine. But alas, I'm the only person who cares. Anyway, back to Sandworm. We got our man trap going again. Crystal Rose. Crystal Rose is pretty excellent. It's very long range, very narrow, but, very useful. And it has a chance of, like, charming enemies, turning it to your side, which is also really great. Anyway, that takes care of Sandworm round 2. So we've got our treasure. We beat up Sandworm twice. Let's go find him again and put him to rest. I think I remember where he is. Probably should have beaten him the first time I saw him, so, exploring it could just, like, run into him along the way. Oh well, nothing wrong with a little more experience. Yeah, I definitely did not mean to cast that card, but whatever. Also notice that when you use more stones than you actually have, like I definitely got over by right there, it actually burns your health a little bit. Like, every stone you don't have that you try to spend will get you 10 damage. Which means you can still play cards after you don't have magic stones. You just have to weigh the risk-reward in that situation. So yet another level of depth there. And there will be times where I'm going to, like, know that I'm in a bad situation, and I will play a healing card with the last of my magic stones, knowing that whatever damage I take along the way will ultimately be fixed when I'm done healing. Oh, would you look at that, I got my Sea Monk back after all. No harm, no foul. Bouncy side beast. So at this point I actually have the side beast card, like I picked it up from one of the chests in here. It is currently mapped to X. The great thing about the side beast is it doesn't do a whole heck of a lot of damage, but you can use it like 5 times. It's by far the highest weapon card use count. Also, now that he's down to 1, we'll capture you with the Sea Monk, giving the Sea Monk a little more experience, because Sea Monk as a healing card doesn't do damage and can't get kills unless you capture with it. Another side beast for my collection. It's in the box. I like Anthrope. We've got quite a few of those at this point. Aha! Alright, where did that darn sandworm go? And one of the things that Lost Kingdoms 2 does that rather changes up the formula here is they actually allow you to use cards while wandering in the overworld. Like, there's no instanced combat. Like, you don't have to wait until you're in a combat scenario to like be able to play cards and do damage and stuff. So there's little puzzles where you've got to like get a combat encounter going in order to hit the cactus or hit a switch or something. It is much, much easier in Lost Kingdoms 2. Very much a quality of life improvement. But I'm not entirely sure it improves the game overall. Like, mileage may vary. I could capture another side of this. I could just with a side beast. This is one of those situations where I'm like, I wonder if the level design is bad on this level. And on the one hand, it's like, well, yes, it is. Everything is indistinguishable. It's hard to navigate. But on the other hand, it's like, wait, this is a desert. Of course it's difficult to navigate. That's what it's supposed to be. Which then you get into questions of like, you know, can you justify bad game design with it was a deliberate choice? In this case, I suspect it's okay. Like, I'm not overly inconvenienced here. It's my own darn fault for not fighting the sandworm when I had the chance. I thought my sandbeetle was rocking it, though. Sandbeetle is another one of those great little independent monsters. Very cool. Does quite a bit of damage and has a great attack range and stuff. In general, like the independent monsters who do attacking, you'll see like there are the skeletons who like stand and fight, and there are quite a few sort of parallel guys. But there are also a lot of guys like this sand beetle who do this. You know, they'll sort of hit and fade. Some of which aren't terribly effective because there it is. Some of which aren't terribly effective because like their range isn't great. Like the land shark is not nearly as useful as the sand beetle because it just needs to like body check enemies. But even so, just like you get a sense of there being different approaches within the AI for the creatures. A surprising amount of diversity to like how all of these critters behave and attack. Can be used as part of your strategy. Alright. I believe this is the last encounter with the sandworm, especially since I did like a massive pile of damage to it with that Manticore. 75. Oh, back to 100, you fiend. Oh. Oh, storm attack. That's not good. We should have listened to the fairy. So much for timing in on that one. Alright, but now Sand Golem is here to take the pressure off. Which is good, because I am utterly screwing this up. Alright. Sand Golem's got his attention. Yeah, this is also occasionally a problem with the AI. Like this skeleton is standing too far away there for a few seconds, uselessly throwing himself out. But now we've got the cockatrice, and this guy's badass. Yeah, look at that nonsense. Get out of here. 450. How do you like them apples? Probably not going to do great on the rating though. Took quite a bit of damage. Killed a lot of monsters. Ooh, got it anyway. Alright, what do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Yeah, we got the sandworm. What now? And a couple sand beetles. No mummies. That's fine, because we don't need any more mummies. So that's it for Grumtel Desert. Back to the apothecary. Let's see if we can't transform anything at this point. No new side quests. Notice Gerd is sort of pointing to the cryptic history of the runestones here, that perhaps they're used to lock something up. We will hear more about that as the game goes on. But let's look at some of our transforms. Still can use side beast here. We can transform Mandragora into an archer tree. Always fun. We can get a fire golem from a sand golem, but we got other options that we'll wait for. Man trap. We could get a crystal rose. We just got one of those, so it'd be kind of a waste. Fairy upgrades. Yep, just the sea monk at this point. Mummy. 2 skeleton ghoul. Best wait on that. Lycanthrope still waiting. Dark Raven still waiting. Birdman still waiting. Plague Rat. Ooh, we got the Giant Bee. And still waiting on that one. And our Dragon Knight. Ooh, Ghost Armor. Good times. But we're going to wait until we've got all of them unlocked. That way we can just pick and choose a little bit easier. Any new critters? Ooh, we do have new critters. We have the Archer Tree, we have the Wraith, we have the Wizard. Oh, this is very exciting. Let's see if there's any cards we can afford to sell, like these extra skeletons, extra hobgoblin, because those are really valuable, extra orc. Ah, look at all those mummies. Yeah, the treasure of the desert. A few more man traps. A couple of lycanthropes. Sand beetle. Those guys are really valuable. Crazy. Kinda glad I got extras then. Now we can buy whatever we want. What now? Look at that. 1,105 gold. Wizard, Wraith, Archer Tree. Yeah, now we're rocking. Might even have more than 30 individual cards. That will complicate things. Let's modify the deck. Upgrade things. Get all the new stuff in. Alright, so we've already got all these guys. Need a sandworm in there. Put the wraith in. Put our new sand beetle in. Crystal rose. Wizard. Yep, we have more than 30. So Archer Tree will have to wait along with the side beast until we can retire some of these. Save it up. Hurrah! Alright, now back to the main campaign. Remember that time that we were like chasing after our dad to, make sure that he takes the runestone and saves the kingdom because we're too girly to do it apparently? Yeah, we'll see about that. Alright, here we are at another one of our very grim, very gloomy levels. Like, you thought Lassoon, the wiped out city, was bad. Now we are in a legit graveyard. So, yeah. And notice just like even the level design. It's raining, it's muddy, it's dark. Like the only light you're gonna see is, of course, the little runestone on the back of the princess, which is one of the best design decisions, might I add. Like it not only shows up well and very much contrasts against whatever the environment is doing, allowing you to pick out your avatar and your character, but it also makes this like very obvious contrast between you and the enemies, the world, the harshness and darkness of what's going on around you, like both symbolically and from a player's perspective. It's very good design choice. I love it when we get into square dancing AI options. It does like kick itself out happily, but even so, it's kind of silly to watch slow this way. Alright, once again we got some more sad wounded soldiers hanging around. Notice that these are Alanjahs. Again, we're sort of startled that Katia is hanging out around here. But apparently word has traveled that we've left to find the king. But we are on the right track. He's telling us that they're up ahead somewhere. Now, once again, we got like a secret thing to worry about, but actually it's part of the main quest here, so pay attention. Here lies Griffith the Golden, King of Alanjah. Mightiest of all warriors, pacified the fertile borderlands, his golden mane shone like the sun. Griffith the golden, Griffith the wise. There's not a whole lot of lore to these games, and what there is isn't terribly relevant or valuable, but it is neat to sort of see, again, that the lore does allow us to sort of characterize the world a bit more richly, especially because, again, it's death that we're characterizing here. The emphasis is as much on the fact that these are, lost, dead beings of history long forgotten, long past, as, being able to say, hey, look, this is a rich world with history and backstory and all that fun stuff. Now you'll notice I've summoned the wizard. He's one of our new cards that we got. He has done this little thing under all of our feet. He is yet another passive independent monster, and in this case he increases the damage that everybody does, which includes me, but also includes all of the independent monsters I summon. So notice, like, Mantrap is angry. He wants to wreck things, even though clearly his family is, but he got him anyway. Hooray, Mantrap. But this also means that, again, the wizard is going to be kind of tough to get experience for, so I might very well use him to capture something at some point to speed that process along. More chests. In this case, a skeleton. What a, appropriate thing to find in a graveyard. We've also got red fairies hiding in the well. She's kind of grumpy about the undead that are hanging around, which I suppose is warranted. They're not great neighbors, I assume. What is these water cards? Well, oh, would you look at that? There's a card hiding in there. Oh, you beautiful dragon. Haha! In your face! Maelstrom is useful. Totally. I promise. Let's get a little bit more cold trap. These earth enemies need some wood to show them who's boss. That came out wrong. Oh well. I'm not editing these videos. Mantrap gets all the experience. Good for Maelstrom, doing something of it. I'm as surprised as hell. Another skeleton. A wraith. We just bought one. Wasting our money. Alright, so after Griffith the Golden, we have Roald the Green. Grieved by the sight of the war-ravaged land, Roald took up the hoe. Together with his beloved sand creatures, he restored life to the dead earth, and in their earthly homes, the sand creatures still await the return of their lord. Notice the emphasis here. Like, this is very much a sort of twist on the story of Cincinnatus, the great, like, possibly apocryphal Roman, citizen, king, tribune. I don't remember the exact role that he played. But Cincinnatus famously took up the mantle of king, of dictator, when his country needed him, and then when it was no longer needed, he retired peaceably to his farm. Roald seems to have a fairly similar relationship, only notice that his motivation isn't like national pride or something, it's grief. The emphasis in Lost Kingdoms is usually about loss, or about the sort of devastation that's occurred to the world. Even in the history, it seems that Alanjah has, suffered a long history of, suffering, of grief, of peace. But notice too the reaction that Roald, responds to this grief, responds to the tragedy that has plagued his kingdom with, I'm going to go home and garden. I'm going to strike out a peaceful life for myself. So we've got Griffith the Golden, we've got Roald the Green, and now Irmwall the White, King of Alanjah. Irmwall the Pure, who dedicated his life to finding a cure for his queen's illness. Long will the bards sing of Irmwall and his one true love. Again, we have this sort of sad story, like his wife is dying sick, and he spends his life trying to find a cure for her suffering. They're just little tidbits, like throwaway information. They're not relevant to the story. like not even terribly relevant to the lore. But here we have, this opportunity for a little bit more, storytelling from the perspective of grief, driving home these themes. Also, they killed my save wheel. I'm kind of grumpy about it. Love that animation. Probably my favorite. I also tried to return that guy to stone and jump. That's fun. Well, they didn't give me a lot of stones for that. Good grief. Darn skeletons with their high defense. Alright, also we're kind of low on health, so let's summon us up there, shall we? Alright, what to do about this loser? We've got our fire gargoyle. I'd love to capture him with it, but let's see if we can summon him on something that isn't going to quite take him out. Like, oh, that's a summon. My bad. Carbuncle, perfect. We got the experience for the carbuncle, that works too. After all, I should probably summon the fire gargoyle, just because I know it's not terribly useful, doesn't mean that, it doesn't look cool. Sorry, I got distracted. Chasing fairies. These things happen. The Cursed King. Here lies King Beria of Alanjah, the Explorer King. The king of all explorers, King Beria was last seen heading into a strange black mist. Never at peace during life, the king found no rest in death either. Beware the curse of King Beria. Again, we have this sort of tidbit information, and notice the parallel here, that he ventured into the black mist and was never seen again, but found no rest in death. Another tragic story of a past king of Alanjah, but this one, cursed, of course ends up in a monster fight. Dramatic explosion of gravestone. Alright, let's do some fire gargoyle, shall we? Because it is a pretty cool animation. A fairly interesting monster design. Difficult to interpret. But yeah, you'll notice he doesn't do any damage, he just kind of like freezes everybody temporarily. Poor Ghoul is still kind of stuck here. Both of them for that matter. Oh, now they woke up. So this is the trouble with trying to train all the cards simultaneously. Get a bunch of them and get stuck. Tough spot. But that's okay, we've still got options. Look at all those stones, just what we need. How about some Birdman? Aha! Got lucky. Alright, well, this is going fairly poorly. How about my Wraith? This one is so hard to use. Got him, though. Got them both. But yeah, it's kind of hard to predict where those ice crystals are going to fall. I'm pretty sure it's quasi-random. So you gotta, just kind of cross your fingers and hope. Anyway, take that, Wraith. So much for King Burial the Cursed. And for a reward, there was definitely a card back there. I remember this. Sorry, I know that you can't see this, but there's like glare on my screen. Tree Ant! That's nice. Tree Ant is like the mirror opposite of the Wizard, where the Wizard makes all of your attack power higher, the Tree Ant increases your defense. That's really useful. 5 kingdoms in Argwyll: Alanjah, Grayl, Kandari, White, and Bashia. But the Black Fog has already swallowed up both Bashia and Alanjah. Well, that's distressing. A little bit more world building there. Fairy. Yep. He's telling us about the little, void damage while casting a card. Again, very tricky and very from software, honestly. Like, very much like the counterattack or the post in Dark Souls. Alright, big gravestone. The fourth great king, Dane the Red, king of Alanjah. Dane, master of the art of war, his polished bronze armor shone like the midday sun. The very sight of Dane struck fear into the hearts of his foes. Dane added 17 new lands to the kingdom. Notice that one's like a little bit more positive, but it's still fairly violent. Like, as much as, you know, it's less tragic than most of the stories we've heard so far. The legacy of war is not necessarily a positive one. Conquest, though it may be, proud and nationalistic and so on, but still, that's what kings are for, is kind of what's being insinuated. Notice that, you know, all of these kings with their various griefs and their various sufferings and their love of war kind of don't compare to good old Katya running around, you know, trying to heal her nation instead of, you know, expand it or do any of the typically aggressive masculine things that we see from a lot of these games. Alright, you. I know that you were charmed for a little while, but you're uncharmed now, so now you go back. Thanks, Google. Let's get to the other side. I think that skeleton has something for us. I could do it. Orc, Ghoul, and Crystal Rose. 20 points apiece. Good deal. I thought so. Of course it's a mummy. Why wouldn't it be a mummy? It's always a mummy. Done these marshy areas, slowing us down. I think these work better than like the upward slope on the forest level that I talked about there. Like the marsh, you know, as much as it's annoying, it makes sense in the context of the game. Looks like Hobgoblin got the Penis Spider. We'll take it, I suppose. But the Ghoul got this isn't going good. Alright, I think there's a deck one up here. So hopefully it won't get too close. Would you look at that? There's a dude there. No money. Just keep those monies coming, I guess. Well, but first, a battle. One of those wraiths. Lycanthrope versus skeleton. Oh, no dodge. Alright, didn't dodge the right way. That works. The Lycanthrope doesn't have a whole lot of range. A little slow. Oh, cockatrice. Beautifully monstrously powerful. The lost games 2-2 is so unjust. Skeleton and Wraith for cockatrice and Lycanthrope. Very good. Let's talk to this guy. Lord Unther. You'll remember one of the guards at the beginning of the game told us that Lord Unther was accompanying the king, and that as long as the king was with Unther, he would be safe. But here's Unther. Where's the king? I did not hope I would live to look upon your fair countenance again. Notice, he's done. The enemy were upon us before we could draw our swords. I would that I could have been with the king until the end. But, behold my surroundings, I am in the company of kings, I could ask for no more. Oh, just poor Unther. Like, notice, you know, again, there's no cutscene here, there's no musical cue, like, everything about this game is very understated. I suspect that's part of the reason why people didn't, like, get it. Like, it was too bland, many of them accused. But the story itself is solid. Like, Unther is standing here in the midst of this miserable, wretched graveyard, having failed to protect his king, you know, just sort of waiting here to die, but is proud of his heritage, his nationality, of the work that he has done. He failed, and yet he is content in a way. That's a bummer. I was really not in the mood for another fight. I am running out of cards like nobody's business right now. Oh well, at least we have Sea Monk. Get a couple more cards back. A few, actually. It worked. Very long. This is not good. So we're going to have to rely on our good friend, Mr. Wizard. Oh, that was underwhelming. Ooh, that's really bad. This could be it, folks! The end for Princess Katya. Go for it. Oh, and that did it. Well, I'm sorry, I'm wasting your time now. But on the bright side, all the experience carries over. So we can actually consider that grinding. It's actually one of the things I really like about this game. Again, it locks off all the levels as you go, so there's no like incentive to grind, but in a very natural way, like the logical way to grind is to beat your head against a level and die. Like, it's frustrating, but since the experience, you know, is retained, you don't actually lose progress as far as getting experience is concerned. Like, all of your stuff is just more prepared for the next go. Also, some of these guys are ready for some transforming, so that's exciting. Maelstrom, can't copy him though, that's a bummer. Both Maelstrom and Cockatrice, we've got all their options available, but unfortunately we only have one of each, so that's kind of a bummer. But that's okay, we'll copy them when we get the chance, and we can go from there. Ooh, Sea Monk is ready to go, though. And we've got two of those. We can get ourselves a Rebus. Yes! Our first transform! Hooray! What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? Poof! Rebus is actually really awesome. Like, healing and card restoration. Very useful. What else do we have here? No more transforms to do. None of the cards we really need to copy are ready yet. Nothing new to buy either. And no new quests. So on we will go. Beat our head against this level again, hopefully with more success. Usually don't die on this level. Darn that glare! That's my story and I'm sticking to it. It was the glare. The glare totally wrecked me. Never mind the fact that the sun totally moved behind the cloud. Found that sun. Ruining my excuse. That's okay. Because at this point we've already read all the stories, we can just blow right through this level. We need to stop the gravestones, then we need to get all the chests. Just blow right along. Until we run into occasional ones. Haha! How do you like them apples? This is not the right type of jump. One way to skin a Venus spider. Take the flashback to the very beginning of the game. What? It didn't kill him? Rip off. This is an ideal time for a capture throw. That wizard. Plague Rattle, dude. What? Get some experience on Plague Rat, so I don't have to keep carrying it around. Onward! Just gonna run into lots of random encounters. Go to, Sand Beetle! What's up, guys? How are you doing? Haha! It was a trap! That lulled you into a false sense of survival. He wants to see another Maelstrom kill. Well, I mean, I did, but it didn't work. Bad type matchup. I'm getting turned around. And the sun's back. Or is it? Alright, and yes, this way. I know where I'm going. I've played this game before. I know what's going on. Alright, good. Extra cards would be helpful, since that was what I ran out of last time. Alright, no detours. Bam, we're right where we died. There's poor Unther, still undergoing his final moments. We really need to do something about having nothing but water cards when all of the enemies we're fighting. Alright, Sandworm, how do you like them apples? We'll just wreck everybody in one hit. Maybe I wasn't about to take out the skeleton. It was still very impressive. Okay, here we are. Here we are. Deck point was literally right there. That's disappointing. Dark Raven. And here's our puzzle for today. We must trace the path of the four kings. Do you remember the order? Because I knew this was coming. Griffin the Golden. Roll the Green. What's his face the Pure. And Dane the Red. Mr. War guy. On into the mysterious, weird-looking ritual thing going on here. Doesn't look ominous at all. Oh! What's he doing here? The mighty Necromancer, together with his posse of skeletons, as you would expect. Let's see how the nerf works. Notice the Necromancer is our first enemy who has the eyeball icon. He is a purple neutral guy instead of one of the elements. Necromancer also has this crazy power where he summons skulls to attack you based on the number of skeletons he has hanging around. He's kind of trouble. What's really cool about like the Necromancer card, which you may or may not get from this encounter, is that in addition, like you can use both of his attacks. There's shield thing and the skull summoning thing, depending on whether or not you have skeletons out on the field, probably an answer card. Notice too that he is jumping, like he is all over this map. His teleportation is very hard to hit. Sometimes he just sits there and takes it. So far we're doing alright on cards and on health. Just a lot of hits. Don't want to use my fire card because it's a lot of stones for not a lot of payoff. Get him, Carbuncle! Seems like as good a time as any for some healing. Especially since I've got 2 fairies. Aha! Mandragora! Let's see how you like that. Oh, some change. Oh, now we're talking. Come back here. What do you think? Who should we give the experience to? This is quite a bit. Crystal Rose. I'm not sure what's up with this cutscene. I think they're trying to be like, oh, it's done, it's pain, it just does not work this time. Oh well. Can't win them all. So much experience for Crystal Rose. Now, the downside is we didn't beat many monsters because I blew through, so definitely a bad rating this time. This is fairly normal for I have to fight a level twice. No necromancer for me, just ghouls. Alas. Grayl, a kingdom of fierce warriors. Her proud history is rich with stories of brave men who fought on against impossible odds. The king was headed to Grayl. We raced to catch up with her father. And instead of taking the road, we're going to go through the sewer. Shale passage. Yep, it's a sewer level. I don't know why. I think these were pretty ubiquitous in 2002. For some reason, everybody needed a sewer level in order to, be a legit video game. Alright, you'll notice that Alexander's got a whole bunch of fairies now. Like, every time that you bring him fairies, the actual number of fairies in his house increases. So we can bring in 8 more fairies, and now he's got 17. So we can finally use the Banshee card. Much loved among fans of the game. It is wildly powerful and very useful and convenient. Another one of those sort of, first order operating cards. Like, it is designed to be a little broken for, players unfamiliar with the game to kind of latch onto it. You also notice that a lot of these cards actually have a star rating, like Venus Spider is 1, Fire Gargoyle is 2, Banshee is, if I'm not mistaken, 3 or 2, Fire Gargoyle is 3. I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't think there's any relevance in this game, but it will become pretty more relevant in the next. Lost Kingdoms 2 has some pretty draconian rules about what power level of cards you're allowed to use at any given point. Seems like a wise move. Into the Shale Passage. This level is weird. It's obviously a sewer. Again, we've got one of these interior levels with the black void thing going on. And it is slow because the water slows you down. It's kind of not great. Here our sort of plan is we gotta bust open these tank things, like the one that you see right there. But there's also a lot of back and forth in this level. Honestly, it's fairly convoluted and confusing. But here we are. Now, the primary monster we're going to run into here are these flare spawn guys. They are fortunately very low. especially with the ring. Because fire's weakness is water. We've also got this Watergate puzzle, like not Watergate, like the political controversy, but Watergate is in you got to press the thing and then go to the place fast enough to be able to get there before the gate shuts again. Now this is a Dragonoid. Oh, Dragonoid. Dragonoids are very powerful in a sort of backdoor kind of way. They unlock, like trading up a Dragonoid means you'll unlock a lot of the best cards in the game, because a lot of the best cards in the game are dragons. So we will definitely get together by this level. Slogging through all this water. Nope, just not even going to get that berry. Opening the gate. And rush back to where the gate is. And by rush, I mean trudge, because water. Again, like the animation makes sense on this one. Again, the water slows us down. It actually slows the animation instead of just letting it run, but slower. But even so, it is a pain. Readily admitted. What have we here? There's our Dragonoid. Yes, excellent. There's a red bird. Well, thank you. Maybe I will. And secret treasure chest area. Didn't take much effort at all. Another carbuncle. Another maelstrom. Perfect. Now we don't have to copy it. We can just like transform it. No muss, no fuss. That was a bit frustrating. Alright. Onward. Got another water tank. More flare spawn, no doubt. And we'll go on to the second one. What you doing, Dragonoid? It's apparently my day for one kills. What? We've got to get the key. Well, that's annoying. Water tank number 3. One thing I will say is Kachi has no respect for other people's property. Like, she just walks around blowing up gravestones, breaking tanks, breaking eggs. Just what the heck? Snap it with the card. Oh, so good. Nope. Giant crab and crystal rose. Well, that was fast. Sandworm! Yep, sandworm just kills everything. All of the chests. I will say though that as much as like the sewer level is annoying, it is also, again, perfectly thematically consistent. Like, it is lonely, it is a little creepy, it is gloomy, it is, you know, all this trudging is as much as it is frustrating to get through from a gameplay standpoint, it totally fits with the slow progress that we've been making through the game. Again, like, the atmosphere is, as always, spot on here. It's just sometimes kind of frustrating as well. Crystal Rose, what up? Oh, charming. No, I was hoping to land a capture throw. Well, oh well. I guess the skeleton will just have to enjoy that experience. More chests. Ooh. And yet another mummy. Darn these undead cards. One of these things has a red fairy. Is there a card in here? No. Yeah, Dragonoid. He's a fairy. Chest looks very suspicious. Also notice on the mini-map it's marked with red. I have to start a fight in order to see what's going on there. Maybe by breaking up this water thingy? Perfect. It does in fact extend like that. Oh. Capture, throw it up. Aha. And another flare spawn. I need to like actually take one of these flare spawns home. I don't think that would be easy. Should get the experience though. Careful. Hurt something. Sand Golem. That also doesn't do damage. Dragonoid and a flare spawn. Total victory. Ooh, yeah, cuts. Ominous. Also the running bird. Good grief. Running bird. Watch your step. Like how, like almost everything in this game, it's like telling you not to do the thing that you need to do. But in the meantime, some more chests. Venus spider. Skeleton. And another lizard man. Death point. Add some things in. Go with bird and smoke. Oops, I guess it's been a while until we get to another death point. Alright, here's a big scary boss, the Mind Flayer, and all of his little friends. The Dragonoid will very much end the day for him. Look at that, I did practically half the damage all the time. Yeah, get that experience. All with Dragonoid. Just telling you. 320. Dang. Now we get the key. Very helpful. Now I can go back and take care of that. So much for not having a death point anytime soon. It's the very same one. I'm also kind of pleased with the level design on this one. Like, as much as this one is a trudge, I suspect that the devs actually were aware of this, because it just drops you off right where you need to go. Like, loop level design. It may be a sewer level, but it's not terrible as level designs go. Well, that was really underwhelming. I am still, like, very short on my stones. Alright, well, Dragonoid kills everyone, so there. And we're walking, making it back. Hoping that we don't run into any more random encounters. Oh wow, we're making very good progress. Don't need to go through the magic little tidy hole this time, so we go straight to the access door. Just have to fight off whatever these losers are. Ooh, Basilisk. Well, dang. Get out of that wall. Alright, this is getting rough. Not for Dragonoid. And since why not? We'll just capture the Lambert. Yep, yet another Dragonoid. I said I wanted Dragonoids, now I've got all of them. How did we do? How did we do? Oh yeah! Come on, Mind Flare. Nope, just missed it. It's a bummer. Dragonoid and 2 giant crabs. Hooray for consolation crabs. It's like the worst thing ever. Okay, quick trip to the apothecary, which I may or may not have without. What do we got? What do we got? Do we want to get to the point that I can actually do stuff? Still need another cockatrice before we're willing to transform them, because I don't want to like transform my last cockatrice. We do have a second Maelstrom though, and we only have the 1 flare spawn, so Maelstrom can get retired. Hooray! Because Maelstrom sucks. But here's a kitty trap! He is just so cool. Like, seriously, look at that thing. Lycanthrope. Sand Beetle. Ooh, Sand Beetle's ready to go. Yeah, Trickster. Oh, Trickster is so good. Oh, look at him. He's so happy to be here. Ghoul. That's traction on the wizard. That's good. Ooh, play grab is ready. We can get a giant bee. More importantly, we can get an elephant. Elephant is a good time. Like, Elephant himself is not terribly powerful. He does just, you know, decent earth damage. What else? What else? I think the only one that I'd be willing to copy really is Maelstrom. Maelstrom is just, like, done. I think I have all these cards. Indeed I do. So, alright. a very productive trip to the shop. We can retire Maelstrom at long last. Screw that card. It is dumb and weak. We can absolutely replace it with our new elephant. Yeah, I suppose that makes sense. We got actually pretty good balance as far as the different element types go. A little weak on, well, a little high on earth, a little weak on fire. Let's do that then. Good old flare spawn. Look at all those cards we've collected. We should definitely put in Dragonoid. But what do we remove? Alright, we'll have to wait. I'm sure we'll be finishing up a lot of those cards soon. So we'll save it one more level and we'll call it. As usual, plan to stop there, but like we're so close to Grayl Castle. The Castle Grayl. No relation to either like a different castle or the Holy Grail. But yeah, Castle Grayl, again, this is a pretty solid level, just well designed, and we've got, again, lots of evidence of just the destruction that the Black Fog is wreaking at this point. Some straight up corpses and more wounded soldiers who are just not in good shape. We've also got this puzzle thing where we have to like hit the special statues to progress. Not terribly involved, though there are a couple interesting things that they do with it. And once again, we're in another interior location located in a giant void, which is weird, but, you know, whatever. Even the Red Fairies are bummed about this. Like, all of the soldiers are dead. This is not a great situation that we find ourselves in. Go ahead, hit me again. Do it. Aha! It's a trap. What else is a trap? Mandadora. Face. Darn that blue fairy. Oh good, more fights. Red lizards. Red lizards for days. A little closer. You got sandworm. One thing I will say though is the sandworm animation is weird. Like, what is it even doing there? Like, it's just sort of popping out of the ground, which is cool, but then it's like bloated or something? I don't even know. It's just like, ugh, I got fatter. I've not been impressed with the sandworm animation. And weirdly, like, the second sandworm, like in Lost Kingdoms 2, even weirder. Like, I don't even know what's going on. But whatever. They can't all be giant crabs. I mean, I guess carcination, is that how you pronounce it? Like the process by which all creatures eventually evolve into crabs? I guess that's a thing. They are all crabs at the end of the day, but... Alright, fine, be that way. In your face, Birdman! Aha! Flying right to the moon. Birdman really turned me apart in studio. Get this chest now that the statue thing is out of the way. There's our Mind Flayer. Who needs a Mind Flayer from the sewer level when you can just get one here? Isn't that convenient? All alone in the creepy dark castle. Katia perseveres. It's really the quiet moments that get me about this game. Like, the fights are good, the combat is amazing. It's the quiet moments that stick. Will-O-Wisp! Don't like that. Don't like being a spider. Nice. Yeah, very far away. Yeah, Will-O-Wisp is another trap card that explodes when something gets near it and does quite damage. It's kind of amusing. Immediately got the blue fairy and got the, card that we just spent to win the battle. Oh, all this looks suspicious. Look at these boxes just sitting here. Oh, this poor guy. Damn, that she-devil. I wonder who he's referring to. More red lizards for days. Venus Spider is back in action. How do you like that? Orc belly flop. We'll take it. And we'll take this card as well. Bloodbush. Good times. Oh boy. Darn fairies. Betrayer fairies. I thought we were friends. I didn't know that. You know what it is? It's because like the X and B buttons are actually reversed on the Xbox controller relative to the GameCube controller. So like on the one hand I've got them mapped so B is B and X is X, but it doesn't line up to the four cardinal directions that are located on the bottom right corner of the screen there. It's a little weird, confusing. Where's the shield guy? There you are. Alright, now we can get through. Oh boy, look at all those will-o-wisps. Don't like that. Do some healing. Hey, come on. Oh, we charmed him! Ha! Blew each other up. Bummer for experience, but good use for getting through the battle quickly. Here's that other chest. This one's not even protected. What kind of puzzle is this? Just walking around picking up chests like it's no big deal. Oh, a wizard. Now what? More of these guys. More of these guys. Flare spawn! Much creepier than something. Probably more effective too. About some Wraith action. Type matchup. If I hit him. Got one. He's low, but not quite low enough. My mistake. I was gonna capture him with the wizard as the second one, but I guess I'll capture him with skeleton. That's fine. This looks suspiciously like the end of the level. Princess of Alanjah, truly as fair as your father described you. Again, everybody's concentrating on my looks. Kind of a bummer, as though they didn't notice that I am saving all of their butts. Definitely need some additional covers at this point, because this fight is going to be rough. Wizard. Ooh, got a little bit of the wisp, which is good, because I kept blowing them up without actually capturing any of them. Well, we're gonna have all of the red lizards, apparently. Here it is, the King of Grayl facing down the mystery woman with her mysterious purple runestone. Runestone is mine. Seems that somebody else is after the runestones, not just the king trying to collect them all. Oh, so exhausting. Oh no! Another runestone, another card user. Don't like that. Jesus, flinging them too. Archer tree, get out of here with your archer tree. Don't like it one bit. Have some blood bush. Lycanthrope. Darn the timing. Notice how tough she is to hit. And how she can use the same sneaky nonsense I can, playing a card of the exact same way to dodge damage. She's just invulnerable when she's done though. Ugh, poison! Darn that poison. Heal up. Gotta keep this fight going. Yes, Mind Flare was a very bad choice. It's way more expensive than before. Alright, clean up those two guys who have been harassing me. You on my trick card. Didn't hit her, but progress. Snap! In your face. Giant crap face. Like it doesn't do a lot of damage. It's just so cool. Hobgoblin Wars. Cool. Do it, Sand Beetle! Oh, that's not a great combination. I suspect she's going to get wrecked by that lycanthrope. Yep, that was bad. That was bad. And Trap's doing his job, though. Offensive cards. Oh, didn't see that coming, did ya? So now she's forced to aim at the sand gold, which gives me a lot of damage. So I can time it right. Ugh, darn water hopper. She's almost done now. doubt, this carbuncle. 3 skeletons, 5 hobgoblins, and mystery woman all defeated. Look at all that delicious experience. You have a runestone? That's my question. We shall meet again. Helena! Mark it well, for it is the name of your master. So our mystery woman is apparently Helena. She's, you know, nice, I guess. Sorry, that's nice. The Enchanter? No, I've never heard of that. Well, we got a little hint here. That woman said by order of the Enchanter. Seems like she's working for this guy. I guess that will have to wait. And the King of Alanjah has passed through here, but apparently he's already moved on. Guess we're gonna have to do the same. I suppose there are the other red fairies hiding around here. I don't think so. I really did number on this area though. I wrecked the place. Princess of Alanjah, grown since I last saw you, as your father described you. Take what you find in the treasure chest. Here it is, folks. End of Act 1. We've got our second runestone. I'm not entirely sure what the deal is here, but it definitely absorbs the runestone in some way. We look also at our health and our stones. We're now to 150 hit points and 15 magic stones. Every time we find a new runestone, we will improve our health as a consequence. Father King Feobane came to this castle bearing word of the Black Fog. He had not been here long when that she-devil and her horde of foul creatures appeared out of nowhere. King Feobane fought with great courage, but alas, the enemy was too many. We were driven apart. Didn't find the king inside the castle. We must hope he escaped and hasn't been able to return yet. It's my sworn duty to prevent our runestone from leaving Grayl, but if the runestone stays here, it will be taken by the enemy. My men are exhausted. The next assault will break us. I want you to have it and serve you well. The other kings must also give you their runestones. It is the only way to keep them from the enemy. And so we have a new mission. We must go, collect the other runestones, add them to our own, and become more powerful to prevent Helena from getting a hold of them. Our enemy is revealed, folks. The Black Fog follows Helena. Woo! And we got the stone head. That's exciting. Stone head is great. It's just so straightforward. It's a giant head made of stone, and it squishes people. Like, what more could you want? And a new level back to the apothecary. But first, let's go to the fairy house, because I think we've picked up enough red fairies at this point to get up to 20. Alright, so remember how I said that, like, new fairies keep getting added? You'll notice there's that big, sort of flabby fairy over there by the pot, which he'll mention as well. They've gotten a little bit bigger. It just makes sense. Like, every time you collect 10, you get a big fairy, and little fairies keep flying around. So it can sort of sum up how many fairies you found in clans. 26. Now we get... oh, another stonehead. Well, fine, be that way. Give me duplicate awesome cards. Whatever. I'm just happy to have stoneheads. Back to the apothecary. Let's see what Gerd has to say. Feobane wasn't a Grayl castle. Presumably he set out for other lands. I would have gone to Kendari next. It's the closest, so on to the Bridge of Sarvan. But are the monsters a part of the plan to steal the runestones? Oh no! Not a second quest. Gotta check. Alright, in that case, I'll probably, like, poke around and, you know, upgrade cards and stuff. But you don't need to watch that, so we'll edit that out. So thank you for watching. For next time, we will be venturing on to Kendari after the runestones, hoping to steal them before Helena gets her hands on them. But why is Helena here? Is she serving the mysterious enchanter? How does she conjure the Black Fog? These questions and more we will have to answer later in our play. So keep staying tuned. I'll have the newer videos uploaded soon, I imagine. So again, thanks for watching, and there will be more to come.